Today we're announcing a major breakthrough in an investigation that has lasted approximately 8 months, with the latest discovery of a very sophisticated drug smuggling tunnel.
Like one gigantic bomb. 5,500 suspects.
Just a couple of hours ago in Fort Wayne, a coordinated assault was launched involving the FBI, United States Marshals, SWAT units, and local police forces targeting a residence connected to CJNG, an exceptionally violent and murderous cartel operating out of Mexico. At exactly 4.5 hours before dawn could arrive over Jefferson, the stillness was torn apart. The deep, rumbling sound of vehicle engines was suddenly overtaken by the ear-splitting explosion of a flashbang grenade. The shockwave swept through the street like rolling thunder, immediately followed by a sudden burst of flashing red and blue emergency lights and the stern, commanding voices of federal operatives. Federal Bureau of Investigation, law enforcement, Federal Bureau of Investigation, raise your hands, exit the premises immediately. Within moments, a peaceful Georgia residential area was transformed into a tactical combat zone. Operation Take Back America had commenced, and the firepower of the cartel had just encountered the might of American law enforcement. If you support the idea that American law enforcement agencies deserve this level of tactical precision and power, press that like button before we delve further into the concealed battlefield of Jefferson. In a matter of seconds, the complete neighborhood was locked down. Military-grade armored trucks sealed off every escape route, while Federal Bureau of Investigation tactical units, Immigration and Customs Enforcement operatives, and Drug Enforcement Administration task forces advanced in perfect synchronization. This was not a routine narcotics operation. It represented the coordinated initial strike of a substantial federal enforcement campaign. Upon entering the targeted residence, agents discovered plastic-wrapped packages of cocaine and methamphetamine covering the kitchen countertop and a container of lethal powdered fentanyl scattered across the floor. However, the genuine shock originated from the weapons cache. The team uncovered 26 firearms, which included assault rifle-style weapons, a dozen pistols, and tucked underneath a workbench, a military-grade grenade launching device. The space reeked of chemicals and gun lubricant, lined with blueprints that were mapping and charting drug trafficking routes extending from Mexico directly into the center of Georgia. This was a paramilitary fortress concealed as an ordinary family dwelling. Attached notes written in complex coded language, detailed payment instructions, and untraceable telephone numbers. The cold, calculated record-keeping of a cross-border criminal enterprise. This was the instant federal operatives understood they had not simply discovered a criminal gang. They had revealed a military-style operation. Every encoded communication, every untraceable financial transfer, every anonymous identity on the surveillance wire had pointed toward one individual, a 48-year-old elusive figure identified only as Coito, a former prisoner, turned strategic mastermind, a Mexican citizen forged within the brutal world of cartel violence. His criminal network did not simply rebuild, it evolved to become stronger, more deeply embedded, completely invisible, and for years it had been functioning not from beyond the border, but from within the United States itself. What is your perspective on this situation? A narcotics house converted into a paramilitary command center. How extensive do you believe the infiltration actually extends? Wiretap surveillance intelligence revealed a disturbing reality. The network operated by Coito was not concealing itself in obscurity. It was existing right out in plain view. Their operational safe houses resembled typical college rental properties. Their transport couriers appeared like regular package delivery workers. Millions of dollars were channeled through legitimate business fronts, tire repair shops, coffee houses, and property management offices, concealing massive flows of illicit currency. Just a few blocks away from the University of Georgia, cartel courier operatives exchanged packages underneath security surveillance cameras completely undetected, integrating seamlessly into everyday life. For years, they had resided among families, university professors, and students, a covert army embedded within suburban communities. Every casual greeting, every friendly neighbor could potentially have been involved in the operation. And underneath that tranquil surface, an invisible countdown was progressing toward catastrophe. What started as a solitary raid rapidly expanded into a comprehensive statewide operation. 13 federal and state law enforcement agencies functioning with military-level precision carried out 12 simultaneous enforcement actions throughout Athens, Atlanta, and Jefferson. Teams forced entry through doorways within seconds of one another, a calculated assault structured to eliminate any possibility of cartel advance warnings. The outcomes were extraordinary, confirming every piece of intelligence documentation. Within one site, agents discovered meticulously maintained financial records documenting $900,000 in business transactions. At another location, disposable phones continued buzzing with urgent incoming communications from Mexico. It represented a strategic triumph. A foreign criminal cartel had successfully established a completely functional paramilitary division in the center of Georgia, equipped and financed to execute lethal operations. Law enforcement agencies did not merely interrupt a distribution channel. They eliminated a central operational command structure. They had confiscated sufficient fentanyl to deliver approximately 7 million fatal doses, averting innumerable deaths. The neighborhoods might have appeared peaceful by morning, but the magnitude of Operation Take Back America was undeniable, and the cartels had just experienced what it signified to confront unified federal authority. The morning sun emerged over Georgia, revealing the scale of the confiscation and the genuinely disturbing nature of the adversary. Transport convoys traveled down Interstate 85 under substantial federal protection, carrying not simply evidence, but crates filled with weapons and containers of deadly poison. Inside the temporary command center of the Federal Bureau of Investigation in Athens, intelligence analysts stared at digital mapping displays glowing red, a sobering representation of the genuine depth of the cartel infiltration. This was the moment the mission transformed from a regional narcotics investigation to an action of national defense against foreign-operated drug warfare. The financial forensic investigation was staggering. Intelligence analysts verified the confiscation of roughly 750,000 illicit pills manufactured to replicate legitimate prescription painkillers alongside the staggering bulk narcotics haul. The complete weight of confiscations included more than 1 ton of pure cocaine and a black market cargo of 3 tons of gold bullion, which was the preferred method of the cartel for laundering criminal profits across continents. Press, if you believe this was the moment the cartels ultimately realized America is not operating defensively anymore. Every element of this criminal network was constructed with a disturbing level of precision. Every warehouse functioned as a distribution center. Every suspect maintained a specific operational responsibility. Processor, courier, security guard, intelligence analysts monitoring the encrypted communications of the cartel were astonished. The level of coordination matched military combat unit operations, commands traveling from Mexico to Georgia in minutes, not in days. It was not criminal activity. It was active warfare in real time occurring on United States territory. The Immigration and Customs Enforcement Homeland Security Investigations Unit uncovered multiple layers of financial concealment, a complex web of shell corporations connected to abandoned commercial storefronts. One instance continues to disturb the investigation files. A tire shop that had not sold a single tire in 2 years, yet processed $980,000 in cash every week through a Chinese-linked shadow banking system. The cartel was not simply transporting drugs, it was restructuring the economic system of the state, laundering billions directly into the commercial bloodstream of Georgia. The financial intelligence confirmed extensive connections to recognized Sinaloa cartel intermediaries. Communications extracted from confiscated disposable phones referenced internal operational code names such as the Blue Bag and Summer Heat, terminology that disturbingly matched the operational subtitle of the Federal Bureau of Investigation itself, Project Summer Heat. The enemy was so thoroughly embedded they had intercepted sufficient federal intelligence to mirror the task force operational codename back at them. The question was no longer whether there existed a security leak, but rather how extensively it penetrated. Meanwhile, community shock transformed into tangible fear. Parents flooded college emergency hotlines questioning if classes were secure, realizing the violence had advanced within walking range of academic lecture halls. The magnitude of the threat was now evaluated not simply in kilograms, but in the deterioration of public safety and the audacity of the criminal histories. Several primary suspects already having completed extended prison sentences for major drug convictions had been released on parole and immediately resumed operational command. This cartel was a mythical hydra. Eliminate one branch and another was already reorganizing under the identical hierarchy, endangering the continuity of national security. As the concluding transports left the area, a disturbing realization descended over the command center. Intelligence analysts working through the contents of confiscated laptop computers and disposable phones discovered that dismantling one operational cell had only exposed a network far more complex than anyone had anticipated. The cartel was not contracting, it was evolving. Information logs revealed encrypted business transactions routed through cryptocurrency digital wallets and international accounts extending across Texas, California, and Georgia. Evidence of a malignant bi-coastal presence. Inside the cyber forensics laboratory of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, a digital heat mapping display flickered red with new geographical coordinates, each indicator a potential relay location, warehouses, safe houses, and unregistered vehicles. The velocity of the connection suggested cartel operational command centers were still functioning, operational, just driven further underground. The battlefield had conclusively shifted from rural transportation routes to the invisible digital web, and the enemy was proficient in both domains. Could a foreign criminal cartel genuinely infiltrate United States intelligence operations, or is someone on the inside providing assistance to them? At 7:45 hours, an encrypted communication penetrated the digital silence. Originating near the Georgia-Alabama boundary line, the text was concise and disturbingly specific. Phase 2 shipment delayed. Heat switch route south. To the task force commanders, this solitary line was a spark igniting a renewed wave of tactical action. It signified another transport convoy, potentially carrying the next multi-million-dollar shipment of fentanyl, was currently in movement. Within minutes, Immigration and Customs Enforcement aerial reconnaissance drones were launching off an airstrip near Monroe. Below, Federal Bureau of Investigation tactical units mobilized rapidly onto rural transportation routes, becoming phantoms in the fog. Thermal imaging cameras scanned the forest canopy, searching for heat signatures. Intelligence analysts monitoring a live video feed identified a cluster of heavy-duty trucks idling beneath dense tree coverage, engines still radiating warmth. If those vehicles reached Interstate 85, the next surge of cartel poison would disappear into the bloodstream of America. The countdown was running out. Roadblocks were established with military efficiency. A convoy of black heavy-duty sport utility vehicles spread out across the county boundary line. Drivers operating with lethal concentration wore night vision optical devices, radios attached to their shoulders. The tension was overwhelming, every agent waiting for the final irreversible authorization. When it arrived, intercept authorized. Vehicle headlights flashed, engines roared, and the high-stakes pursuit commenced. The first truck surrendered quickly, the driver immediately collapsing under the sight of tactical operators. However, the second vehicle attempted to ram through the roadblock, escalating the scenario to an armed confrontation. Tactical vehicles boxed it in, forcing it into a roadside ditch. When agents breached the trailer, they found packages of compressed powder, packaging identical to those confiscated in Athens. Hidden compartments contained unregistered firearms and, horrifyingly, a half-disassembled M203 grenade launcher tube, proof that the cartel was actively rearming and escalating the confrontation. As the convoy arrest concluded, the evidence flowed back to Athens headquarters. Confiscated phones cross-referenced with previous warrants revealed the same contact number recurring under different false identities. Omar, the mechanic, blue light, that prepaid international line traced directly back to Culiacan, Sinaloa. The Georgia operation was not simply a branch, it was a remote, actively managed extension directly answering to the operational command center of the cartel in Mexico. Simultaneously, Immigration and Customs Enforcement cyber units operating under full containment authorization froze 7 digital wallets containing more than $900,000 in cartel proceeds. For the first time, the global financial artery of the cartel was being aggressively severed, one digital account at a time. However, pressure breeds retaliation. That very night, local sheriffs reported mysterious drones hovering above an evidence storage facility. The devices, confirmed later to be custom-built retrieval drones designed to lift hard drives or documents, fled before they could be intercepted. It was the final chilling message from the cartel. We are still watching. We know where you keep the trophies. The operation had evolved into counterintelligence warfare, confirming the battle for the streets of America was far from over. By dawn, the second time the sun rose over Jackson County since the operation began, federal teams regrouped in a warehouse converted into a command post. Digital boards flashed. A series of words, "target zone secured," appeared across every screen. Operation Take Back America had achieved what many believed impossible: the dismantlement of a live cartel network operating deep inside United States territory. Evidence tables were stacked high with sealed crates. 1 ton of cocaine, 3 tons of gold, 1.7 kilograms of fentanyl, and hundreds of thousands of counterfeit pills. The total confiscated valuation was easily in the multi-million-dollar range. However, agents were not celebrating the numbers. Each package represented lives that would not end on the streets of Georgia, a victory measured in potential survival, not mere dollars. Across the room, an Immigration and Customs Enforcement commander reviewed the weapons list: 12 rifles, 14 handguns, and that infamous recovered grenade launcher from Jefferson. His voice was quiet but final. One pull of that trigger, and this would have been a morgue, not a courtroom. The thought of more launchers already being packed for the next shipment across another border hung heavy in the air. In Washington, early intelligence briefings praised the raid as a model of interagency precision, but every agent on the ground knew the truth. This was not an ending, it was a pause. The overseas handlers of the cartel had already gone dark, their digital channels deleted, their crypto wallets temporarily frozen, yet a new signal, a new threat could appear at any hour. At the press stand that afternoon, the United States attorney spoke with measured tones, projecting authority and assurance. This operation proves that when we act as one, we can strike fear into organizations that profit from American deaths. Behind him, a table displayed the confiscated weapons like the hard-won trophies of a modern war. Cameras flashed, capturing the image of success. However, outside, families watched silently, realizing the unsettling truth. The enemy was not an ocean away. It had been next door, and though the intense light of the raid had faded, the shadow it revealed would haunt Georgia for years. By sunset, all 17 suspects, including the ringleader Coito, were booked into federal custody, facing maximum penalties under conspiracy statutes. For the first time, the fentanyl pipeline of Georgia had been visibly and decisively severed. Still, inside the secure evidence vault of the Bureau, one sealed container remained the focus of intense scrutiny: a rugged, weatherproof hard drive pulled from the site of Coito. Forensic specialists traced fragments of a final intercepted message. The screen went dark, then flickered back to life, displaying 3 chilling, undeniable words. Phase 3, new routes ready. It was not over. It never truly is. As the agent stepped into the cool morning air, the lone helicopter thundering south served as a living reminder. In every briefing room, one mantra burned across the monitors: cartels adapt, so must we. The message was unmistakable. America was not retreating. It was rearming. Every arrest, every intercept, every frozen transaction was a warning to those testing United States resolve. This was more than law enforcement. It was national defense. The most dangerous cartel in the world had built an empire on fear. However, in Georgia, fear met the unified will of the Federal Bureau of Investigation and their allies. The empire had fallen, yet the war for the security of America pressed on. The evidence is sealed. The suspects are in custody, and the direct threat has been neutralized. However, the true lesson of Operation Take Back America is not the volume of the seizures. It is the unwavering resolve demonstrated by the forces defending our nation. This mission serves as a potent affirmation when faced with an enemy that operates with paramilitary tactics, uses military-grade weapons, and corrupts our local economies with billions in illegal profits. The law enforcement community of the United States does not retreat. It adapts and dominates. We honor the precision of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the financial forensic brilliance of Immigration and Customs Enforcement Homeland Security investigations, the relentless pursuit of the Drug Enforcement Administration, and the unified action of every state and local task force involved. These are not just agencies. They are our unbroken shield operating under immense pressure to safeguard our streets from foreign criminal states. The strategy of the cartel using fear, anonymity, and infiltration was met with a superior doctrine, coordination, dedication, and immediate action. Their attempts to operate on our soil were identified, penetrated, and dismantled. We saw the true face of modern narcotics warfare, and we proved that the American defense apparatus is faster, smarter, and infinitely more determined. This is a testament to duty, commitment, and the ultimate defense of our communities. The battle for Georgia is over, but the war against the cartels continues in the shadows. Your awareness is the next line of defense. If this story of dedication and triumph reminded you why justice still matters and why the rule of law must prevail, hit the like button to send a clear message that you support our federal agents. Share this report with everyone you know. Silence helps the cartels, but your voice helps the truth spread. Subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to stay informed. We defend America. You help us tell the story. The fight continues.